You're most welcome to today's interview segment. I have a special guest, one who has been a major player as far as the agri value chain is concerned. You know, while talking with him backstage, he told me this whole effort started way back in the early 80s. So I assure you that he knows his onions. All you need to do is sit back there as we look at grains development in Nigeria. With me this day on set is Mr. Sheriff Balogun, who happens to be the President, Federation of Agricultural Commodity Association of Nigeria, and also the President, National Sesame Seed Association of Nigeria. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on set
Thank you.
this
My
day.
pleasure to be here.
All right. Now, we'll begin with grain development in Nigeria. Grains are no doubt staples across Nigeria and even Africa by extension. What we do here is we try to promote agribusiness and food security. When we look at grains development, where and how best can we say development fits into this spectrum?
Well, thank you very much. Grains development and food security. Well, if you break it down or looking at it, the most important thing for any human being is food.
That's right.
You may couch it in any language, make it look good by saying food security or in whatever manner. The first thing that anyone needs to survive basically is food. Hitherto, before the advent of rice becoming our most important staple,
That's right.
we had other grains that we used to eat in Nigeria. If I remember rightly, those days rice was only eaten on occasions, on Sundays, Christmas, Salah, or on a special events.
That's right.
But gradually, in a surreptitious manner, it's crept and become our staple. We eat rice almost every day. But before then, before rice, we had maize, we had sorghum, millet, and then in terms of tubers, we also had cassava, we had yam. Another grain that has come to play a very important role also is wheat. Wheat now is playing a major role worldwide. We've learned to eat bread. Flour has become a crop that is so important that on the international scene, it's a major determinant of foreign exchange, and even the economies of countries. So to put it in perspective, we want to look at it. Grains development is critical to the life of Nigeria, and not only Nigeria, and any other country which seeks to provide food for its citizenry. And for us in Nigeria, rice, maize, soya beans, cassava, which is a tuber, not a grain although, but then these are the four most important staples. And you can see from the policy or policy initiative of this new government.
That was actually my next question.
Yes,
I wanted to find out how deliberate are we?
Yes, I think it's very deliberate looking at these four products that I've mentioned. The government is trying to, provide some immediate goals or immediate incentives or immediate policy to ensure that these four products are developed, are given all the necessary attention to enable the country achieve self-sufficiency in the production of this grain.
But as a player, I want to find out from you, why these four in particular?
Well, it's because those are the main products which form part of our staple, part of our food. Okay. Those are the main ones. So if we're able to address, get those in sufficient quantity, and we're able to produce them, two things: have enough to eat, and then secondly, to stop the issue of importation of any of those staples, especially maize and rice, which drains the foreign exchange that we have.
One would recollect during the Babangida administration, there was so much about let's promote wheat cultivation in Nigeria.
Yes.
It started across board, but all of a sudden that went under. What could have led to that? And why are we not looking that way? Because if you see what is happening in Ukraine today, Ukraine is a major exporter of wheat. Are we thinking of taking advantage of that, probably to restart that regime?
Well, you know, the problem is about, I wouldn't say poly inconsistency, but implementation is our key. We have all the, you know, policy, we have all the write-ups about, you know, agricultural production, value chain, and all of that. But like you said, what went wrong? I remember during the Babangida days, visitors, international visitors used to be received from Kano so that they can drive through from Kano and see the lush land and wheat being grown on the left and right hand side, you know, along that axis. It was so beautiful, and the production was rising at that time. But somewhere along the line, something went wrong. I think probably we might have been awash with dollars at that time and saw probably importation as an easy way out. But now we know better. The crisis in Ukraine is an eye-opener. It's a lesson. And not only for Nigeria, but for so many other African countries. Agriculture or agribusiness is not something that you wish or will on paper and it just happens. You must look at the infrastructure first, put the infrastructure in place, and then you begin to now grow, and then you will improve and all of that. So if you don't put the infrastructure in place, you definitely cannot achieve that.
Putting infrastructure in place, what does this typically, you know, entail?
Okay, first, you know, you have the issue of the land itself, providing the land in adequate size. Secondly, you have the issue of enough water. Thirdly, you have the issue of access road. Fourthly, you have the issue of storage, and then you have the issue of energy. Without a complete, without, you know, having this sets of infrastructure or sets of things that I've mentioned in place, definitely you cannot get to that. And then the farmers that you want to target, those who are going to produce, where are they going to live? Are you going to have it in farm settlements? Do they have houses that they can live? Or do you have farm settlement or communities? And those communities also must have all the wherewithal to be able to live their life around that place or in that area where the production is taking place without thinking of migrating to urban centers or cities. Those places themselves should be considered cities. So the infrastructure that will make people want to stay there, would make their life easy for them to be able to go about the business of production, must be in those places. So those are what we're talking about.
Now, the whole idea is that, are we seeing any motion in place towards achieving some of these infrastructural, you know, footprints that needs to be on ground if we are to attain that level of food security as far as grain development is concerned?
Well, in the past, we've had different programs, from the Green Revolution to Operation Feed the Nation to the regional agricultural development projects that had existed, to the issue of ADPs and all of that. They're nice policies that are well thought out, but implementation has failed over time. So we need to go back and review some of these things. And then, of course, you know, technology has brought about changes now. So where we need to inject technology now, going with what is happening all over the world in terms of trends and technology development, introduce that, and then, you know, come up with a holistic policy.
You know, as we prepare to round up, I want to find out from you, you know, as a parting shot, the current administration declared a state of emergency in agriculture.
Yes.
In your opinion, as a player, was that necessary?
Yes, I think it's very necessary because, like we said, food security. If you look at now, it's very difficult for the average or ordinary person to be able to have 3 square meals. Prices of everything has gone up. So declaring a food emergency is very pertinent, is important. It should be done. We're happy that they have done it. Palliatives needs to be put in place immediately, short term or immediate, not even short term, immediate. Then short term, long term. What are those things that you need to do? Prices of fuel has gone up. You know, movement is difficult. So what about food? So government needs to put in something in place. And I don't think we have enough grains within the country at the moment to be able to put those palliatives in place. So there must be, okay, release from grain reserves, and then there must be either a short-term importation of the most critical grains to be able to, you know, find ways, pushing the effect, find ways of providing for the people.
Don't we need to subsidize food?
Well, food subsidy I think more or less, if you subsidize production, so it depends on what I mean, where you are subsidizing. Are you subsidizing at the selling point, or you are subsidizing at production? I think it's more important to subsidize at production. Then the end result will be cheaper food. But if you subsidize production, that is where it's needed. That is what will boost the production, and then you have adequacy. So I think food subsidy, there's no country in the world that does not provide subsidy. America today subsidizes agriculture by over $1 billion every year, every day, because food is so important. The security of food, I mean, having enough to eat is the first thing to stabilizing country, keeping people out of mischief. So, in fact, in the US, you are paid. There are places where farmers are paid not to cultivate. That's right. Because there's excess, there's a glut. Right. So you are paid not to even cultivate. And so there's nobody that will come and tell you that you shouldn't provide subsidy. It's a misnomer. And in Europe, we see subsidies every day. So why should we not provide the subsidy to be able to keep our populace and say we want to leave everything to market forces? You don't leave your economy to the vagaries of market forces in general.
That's right. Well, at this point, I want to say thank you so much for your thoughts. Thank you so much for your time. I have been talking with Mr. Sheriff Balogun, who happens to be a key player as far as the agri value chain in Nigeria is concerned.